So there's a lot that can be said about cropping and editing images. And different people have different amounts of responsibility in it. We can't take a huge amount of time here, but it's a basic thing that, you know, in a lot of cases, you have to know something about it in order to be in charge of content on websites. So what I'm going to show you is how to edit images with a program that's free called GIMP. It's not built into Windows. It is cross-platform. It runs on Macintosh. There's a Macintosh version. There's a Linux version. It is a part of the GNU software initiative, which you may or may not be familiar with. It's an open source software consortium. And so GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. And it's kind of like a free Adobe Photoshop. It can do most of what Photoshop can do, quite honestly, and it's really great. And you know, your IT support person can get it for you and load it on your computer. And in a lot of cases, the only things that you need to be able to do are crop, which means to change the amount of image that you're showing, and to resize the images. So that's all I'm going to show you how to do, and I'm going to show you how to do it with GIMP. And this will be, you know, a good recording for people to refer back to. The other thing is, as I said, you can, typically, you would decide on the size the images are going to be ahead of time, size them, and then place them on the web page. But this neat function that you have here with SharePoint is you can actually edit them after you load them on the web page, which in some cases can allow you to have more flexibility and can just be easier. And as long as the images that you're doing are not, there's not too many and they're not too large, the storage of multiple copies on this web server, as you'll see, is not really a big deal, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that thing that I showed you before. I'm going to open that image library directly. And so here we are looking at the images on the SharePoint server. And something that Eric mentioned before that is important to know, it's actually pretty hard to do real damage, to destroy your work, to lose your work. But when I do this, just for the sake of smooth functioning, I close my page. I don't leave the editing page open. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you more about this stuff later. But what I wanted to note is, if we just want to see, again, those recommended sizes, we can open another section, go to the Add Media tab, and refer to these sizes. You can see 33% is 222 pixels. I actually want to see a much smaller. I'm going to make headshots out of these pictures. So I'm going to make them even smaller than that, say 110 pixels wide. And I'm going to decide on some proportion that's 110 pixels wide. I'm going to place those pictures. I'm going to resize these pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to Page, and I'm going to say Save and Close. The page is still not published, but it's now not in edit mode. I'm going to minimize my web browser, and I'm going to, right in the SharePoint server, right-click on this picture, and I'm going to say that I want to edit with GIMP. Of course, you have to have GIMP installed. There is a newer version of GIMP. The way it saves pictures is a little bit different. Actually, don't like it as much, but you have to export the image instead of just saving it, which I think is just one more step for this process. But I don't have that set up here, so just know that you have to export. You have to say export image and export it as a JPG. Okay, so here's his picture. It's actually much, much larger than this. This is showing it zoomed. It's zoomed at 25% right now. But this is I want to show this full image. I'm going to just do a resize here. So rather than doing any cropping at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to say I want to scale the image. So this is, GIMP calls resize scale. So I'm going to say I want to scale the image, and you can see I've got this little chain link here. That means that if I change the width, the height is going to change proportionally. I don't want to change it disproportionately and stretch or squash the image. So I'm just going to make the width of this picture be 110 pixels. And when I click out of that window, or I guess I have to tab, you can see it changes the height proportionally. Okay? And then I just click the scale button. And so I've chosen to keep this proportion, and then you can see the size of the image is going to be 110 wide by 165 high. I'm going to want to make the other picture, in this case, match that. So you'll see what that means. So I'm going to say scale. And it looks like a postage stamp, but that's because it's still viewing at 25%. I can change this back and say I want to see it at 100%. That's how big the image is now. And this is the cool thing. So all I have to do now is come up here to File and say Save. In the new version of GIMP, you'd have to say Export. And I'm saving that image right back onto the SharePoint server. Now, we're going to talk about it in a little while, but what's really cool about this is that because of the way SharePoint is set up, SharePoint makes versions of things when you save them. So I didn't actually wipe out the old full-size image. And if I needed to get it back, I could get it back off the SharePoint server. It's going to save the last 5 versions of anything. That's the way we have it set up. The last 5 versions of anything you do. So you can roll changes back. If that was in your regular file system, you wouldn't be able to do that. So now I'm just going to close this, and you're going to notice I'm going to close this image, but that's going to leave GIMP open. My toolbar is going to stay open. That's really handy. Oops, and I already forgot this. What did I say? Let's just open that back up again. Whoops. I don't want to open it there. I forgot my numbers. 110 by 165. 110 wide, 165 high. I have a memory like a steel sieve. Okay, so we're going to go here, and we're going to open the other image. Again, we're going to edit with GIMP. But now, this time, we're going to crop it first. And the reason for that is that the proportions of this image probably aren't exactly the same as the proportions of that other image. But I can get my proportions and my size in one go, or in one process. So the other tool that you need to know about is this tool. Everything else here is really not important for basic web editing. I'm just going to use the crop tool, but I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say I'm going to use a fixed aspect ratio, and then I'm going to set that width to height as a ratio. So I'm just going to say 110 to, with the colon, 165. So I'm not cropping this, or I'm not resizing this to 110 by 165 pixels. I'm setting the proportions of my crop box to 110 to 165. So what you'll notice is now when I drag over the image, that box is going to stay. I can move my mouse all over, but it's not going to leave that proportion area. So I'm going to move it where I want it, and I want to make this be a nice looking headshot where it's up much closer and I can see the detail. Do I want to see all the violin? Maybe not. Whatever. Something that looks good to me. And then I'm going to hit enter. So I just drag that around with the mouse, hit enter. I've cropped it, but you notice that the size of the image is still large. Still at 819 by 1228. But I have set the proportions. So now all I have to do is go to Image, Scale Image, just like the other one, set the top one to 110, and the bottom one is going to go to 165. Now I have 2 images, same size, exactly. I'm going to save that one. And just like the other one, you know, it's postage stamp size, but there it is. Now, I can close GIMP, and I'm done with this. I'm not going to talk anymore about editing images. I can leave this open if I want to, or close it. I don't think I need it anymore, so I'll close it. And I'm going to go back to my browser, and I'm going to go back to edit my page. And watch what happens to the images. Now they have this fix button. Remember what I told you? If there is a perfect size, where it doesn't have to be stretched or moved, there will be a fix button there. So all I have to do is click fix, and there's my, and those boxes will resize in a minute. I can click those, and now I'm showing those images in their native size, and I can do a quick way to refresh and get everything to clean itself up, save and keep editing. I'm not sure why this is a little glitch here, but we're going to just go to page and preview. And I think you will see. Yeah. Now the text is properly flowing around those images. The old version of those images is still in the image library. I could revert them back if I wanted to. Here's a good example of what I was talking about, by the way, about the captions. Notice that now that caption becomes 2 lines. It flows to the size of the image. All right. That's it for image resizing.